Hey everybody, it's Istvon82. I and my perpetual 5 o'clock shadow are back doing an imitation of Jake Blues, apparently. Actually wearing the sunglasses because I've got a little bit of a headache and this room's really bright if I actually want to do any recording of my face, so I figured I'd do that. Now, first of all, this is going to be another little, hopefully interesting history lesson, but it's also going to be me sipping coffee and doing a little bit of shout out to a few viewers who, requested me or think are nerdworthy. Yeah, I don't speak English that well. No, we probably covered that. So, first off, a friend of mine, Mega Black Belt Ninja, cool dude, check out his channel. I highly recommend it. He's a awesome, I don't want to say kid, he's a dude, he's a dude. That works. Of course, Legend of Zelda LU2, that's all one word. Good friend of mine, talk all the time. She puts out some awesome videos. Give her a look, give her a sub if you like him. So that's it. Also, guy, I've done a bunch of his maps and so forth. Razor19119AX9AX. I've done some of the maps. He's doing Minecraft playthroughs. I recommend checking out. Has an awesome accent for those of you in America who like people with accents. Give it a look. Now, coffee. Now, so today's information is going to be how the Nintendo saved gaming, console gaming. And I'll give you a little example. This is the inside of a Nintendo cartridge, an original NES cartridge. And you can see this little guy at the top here, that is a 10 NES chip. Now, the 10 NES chip was Nintendo's answer for how to basically keep the market from being flooded with video games. That is the Nintendo lockout chip. Only game cartridges with this chip in it, that little bit of programming, would actually function on our good old friend, the NES. Now, Nintendo, in its wisdom, since Atari had nearly destroyed the video game market, I mean, it was nearly gone, because Atari had just gone, anyone who wants can make video games. They might have had to pay them a small royalty or something, but they never put a limit on anything. Anything at all. So, Atari, so many bad video games came out, people just stopped buying video games for the Atari. There was no point. They were all awful. The market was flooded. And they were still asking, oh god, I think it was $40. I'm sorry, my nose, it looked like I was picking my nose for a minute there, but it didn't. It just itched in such an awkward spot. But, yeah, the Atari flooded the market with awful video games. They were completely unplayable, and as I mentioned before, famously, the E.T. game was so awful that they buried something like, I think it might have been even as much as 500,000 brand new copies of it in a landfill. Because they would never sell. That was, while that's an extreme case, still, things like that weren't uncommon for the Atari. So, while the NES technically couldn't make it illegal at the time for anyone to develop games for their console, they could make the lockout chip a required part of the thing, or of, a cartridge. So you could not make a game that would bypass, or you could not bypass the lockout chip unless you had the lockout chip. So basically, what they did was they would limit the number of games that they would sell, or that other companies could sell, for the Nintendo to, I think it was like around 5, sometimes 6 a year. And they would only, only if those games were play tested and approved did they issue them, a certain number of the chips. So, the company Tengen, and this is an interesting example. Tengen was working on a way to bypass the lockout chip, because if they either reverse engineered their own lockout chip or found a way around it, they could legally make games for the Nintendo. Reverse engineering the chip, even if it was an exact identical copy of the chip, meant that when all was said and done, they could still use it because, well, it was there, they had, reverse engineered it. It wasn't they had copied it. They had put the hard work and etc., etc., etc. into making it. So, Tengen, in its infinite wisdom, set up a bunch of people to try and reverse engineer the chip and figure out how it worked and all that, good, doodads and hoo-ha's. And realized that they couldn't. So they sent someone to the U.S. Patent Office, or their lawyer to the U.S. Patent Office, and had them tell the patent people that they needed the patent information on the lockout chip for an upcoming lawsuit with Nintendo. Now I finished my coffee, but now here's the interesting bit. Tengen, you might know, are the makers of such games as Gauntlet and Tetris, among other things. Also, the people that released Pac-Man on the NES, and the owner of Pac-Man, and if you hadn't figured that out, is actually Atari. Tengen was Atari's branch for nothing other than developing games for the NES. And they basically took the patent from the U.S. Patent Office, copied it, and were starting to release games en masse, a lot of which were really bad. And they were even going to go as far as releasing them for, or basically, because they could go, oh yeah, we made this chip, we can go do the same thing we did and just sell people our, knockoff chip. And claim that it doesn't violate any patent rights, it doesn't do anything, it's just we reverse engineered it. Except they didn't. And they got in a lot of trouble when people started finding this out. So, they were trying to do the exact same thing to the NES that they had done to the Atari. They were just going to do it to someone else's company this time. And had they gone on the same route, they would have put them out of business. They would have put the Nintendo out of business, and we probably would not have any console gaming as we know it today. Because no company would have seen it worthwhile. Why would they? If there had been two systems, or two major systems, both of which failed, and keep in mind, the Atari actually failed so bad it brought down other console systems with it at the time, like the ColecoVision. It failed so bad it took down systems that were in no way related to them. And, if another system had collapsed like that, there would be no console gaming. And it, almost twice, thanks to Atari. So, I thought I'd share that little bit of information with you. But Nintendo won a lawsuit. They didn't win a lawsuit that would shut them down, or that would shut Tengen down. They won a lawsuit that basically said that, yes, Tengen had violated their patents and they were in trouble, but then Nintendo and Tengen settled everything out of court. I wish I had a Tengen game to show you. They actually had an entirely different style of cartridge than the standard Nintendo game, and if you can find any of them, they're actually kind of worth a little bit of money. Not too much with some of them, but like an original run of Tetris, an original run of Gauntlet, and the original Tengen cartridge, they're worth a little bit of money, and hang on to them if you find them. It's not a lot, but then again, there are obsessive fans out there for collecting everything. Anyway, that's just what I was going to share with you today. I wanted to do those shoutouts, and I wanted to share that little bit of, trivia about the second almost destruction of console gaming. So, I'll talk to y'all tomorrow, and until then, peace out.